Hey there, coin enthusiasts, welcome back to our YouTube channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, uncovering the hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change or tucked away in a dusty collection. Today, we're exploring an extraordinary topic that's sure to spark your curiosity: the 1989 Roosevelt dime, a coin that, due to its rare and intriguing errors, could theoretically command a jaw-dropping $65 million in the numismatic market. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of what makes this dime so special, let's set the stage with a bit of context about the Roosevelt dime series and why a seemingly ordinary 10-cent coin could become one of the most valuable pieces in modern coin collecting history. The Roosevelt dime, first minted in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, is a staple of American coinage, designed by John R. Sinek and featuring Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. By 1989, the United States Mint was producing billions of these dimes annually, with the Denver Mint alone striking over 896 million 1989 dimes, making them common in circulation. So, how does a dime from such a massive mintage become worth $65 million? The answer lies in the rare and captivating errors that can occur during the minting process, transforming an everyday coin into a numismatic unicorn. Let's dive into the specifics of the 1989 dime and explore the errors, mistakes, and possibilities that could elevate its value to such an astronomical figure, while also considering the historical, technical, and collector-driven factors that contribute to its worth. First, let's talk about what makes a coin error so valuable in the first place. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the minting process, whether it's a mistake in the preparation of the planchet, the striking of the coin, or the dies used to imprint the design. These errors are rare because the U.S. Mint has rigorous quality control measures to catch and destroy defective coins before they reach circulation. However, when an error coin slips through, it becomes a prized collectible due to its uniqueness and the thrill of the chase for collectors. For the 1989 dime to be worth $65 million, it would need to exhibit an error or combination of errors so rare and desirable that it stands out even among other high-value error coins, like the 1894 Barber dime, which sold for $2.16 million in 2025 due to its ultra-low mintage of just 24 coins, or the 1975 No-S proof dime, which fetched $456,000 because only 2 examples are known to exist. So, what specific errors could make a 1989 dime so extraordinarily valuable? Let's start with one of the most dramatic possibilities: a 1989 dime struck on a wrong planchet, such as a silver planchet left over from the pre-1965 era when Roosevelt dimes were composed of 90% silver and 10% copper. During the transition to copper-nickel-clad dimes in 1965, some coins were accidentally struck on silver planchets, creating rare transitional errors. While such errors are more commonly associated with earlier years like 1965, it's theoretically possible for a leftover silver planchet to have been used in 1989, perhaps due to a mix-up at the Denver Mint where old planchets were stored or accidentally fed into the minting press. A 1989 dime struck on a silver planchet would weigh approximately 2.5 grams, compared to the standard 2.27 grams for a clad dime, and would lack the copper core visible on the edge of a typical clad coin. This error would be visually striking, with a silver coloration instead of the copper-nickel sandwich, and its rarity would be amplified by the fact that silver planchets were no longer used for dimes by 1989. Making such an error a 1 in a billion occurrence. If authenticated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, a 1989 silver planchet dime could command a premium in the millions, as collectors would recognize it as a unique artifact from a time when silver dimes were long obsolete. Another possibility is a double denomination error, where a 1989 D-dime was struck on a planchette already imprinted with another coin's design, such as a penny or a quarter. For example, a dime struck on a cent planchette would have a reddish-brown copper appearance, a smaller diameter of 17.91 mm compared to a penny's 19.05 mm, and a weight of around 2.5 grams instead of the penny's 3.11 grams. This error has been documented in other years, like the 1999 D-dime broad struck on a cent planchette, which is noted for its uniqueness. A 1989 D-dime with this error would be exceptionally rare because it requires a perfect storm of minting mistakes. A cent planchette mistakenly fed into the dime press, struck with the dime dies, and then released into circulation undetected. The visual oddity of a dime design on a copper planchette, combined with its scarcity, could drive its value into the hundreds of thousands or even millions, especially if it's in high-grade condition, such as MS65 or above, where the coin's surfaces remain pristine. Another high-value error to consider is a double die obverse or reverse, where the coin's design is doubled due to a misalignment in the die creation process. Double die errors occur when the die is hubbed multiple times at slightly different angles, causing elements like the date, lettering, or portrait to appear doubled. For instance, a 1989 D-dime with a prominent double die obverse, showing clear doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date, would be a major find. The 1946 Roosevelt dime with a double die obverse sold for $85,000 in 2023 due to its rarity and visual appeal, and a similar error on a 1989 D-dime, while not as historically significant, could still fetch a significant premium if the doubling is dramatic and well preserved. The value would depend on the severity of the doubling and the coin's condition, but a pristine example graded MS67 or higher could easily reach 6 or 7 figures, especially if it's one of only a few known examples. Off-center strikes are another error type that could contribute to the 1989 D-dime's value. An off-center strike occurs when the planchette is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in part of the design missing or shifted off the coin's surface. For example, a 1989 D-dime struck 50% to 65% off-center, with the date and mint mark still visible, would be highly collectible. The 1975 off-center dime, for instance, can fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on the degree of misalignment and condition. A 1989 D-dime with an extreme off-center strike, say 80% or more, where only a sliver of the design is visible, would be a rare and visually striking error. If only a handful of such coins exist, their scarcity could push their value into the tens or hundreds of thousands, particularly if they are in uncirculated condition. A broad struck error, where the coin is struck without the collar die that forms the reeded edge, could also elevate the 1989 D-dime's worth. Broad struck coins expand outward, creating a wider, flatter appearance with a smooth edge. The 1989 P broad struck dime sold for $20,000 in 2023, and a 1989 D example with a similar error, graded MS64 or higher, could command a comparable or higher price due to its rarity. If the broad struck error were combined with another anomaly, such as being struck on a wrong planchette, the coin's uniqueness would increase exponentially, potentially pushing its value into the millions. Another rare error to consider is a missing clad layer, where one of the copper-nickel layers on the obverse or reverse is absent, exposing the copper core. This error gives the coin a distinctive reddish-brown tint on one side, as seen in some 1969 D-dimes, which can fetch $100 to $1,500 depending on condition. A 1989 D-dime with a missing clad layer would be highly unusual for its era, as minting technology had improved by the late 1980s, reducing such errors. If one were discovered and graded MS65 or higher, it could attract significant attention from collectors, potentially selling for tens of thousands or more due to its visual distinctiveness and rarity. A mule error, where the obverse and reverse dies don't match, is another possibility, though extremely rare. For example, a 1989 D dime with a penny reverse or a quarter obverse would be a numismatic anomaly of epic proportions. The 2000 P Sacagawea dollar mule with a state quarter reverse sold for $264,000, illustrating the value of such errors. A 1989 D dime mule would likely be a one-of-a-kind find, and its value could soar into the millions, especially if authenticated and graded by a reputable service. The condition of the coin is critical in determining its value, as high-grade coins, MS65 and above for circulation strikes, or PR68 and above for proofs, command exponentially higher prices. A 1989 D dime with a rare error in pristine condition, free of scratches, wear, or toning, would be far more valuable than a circulated example. For instance, a 1982 no-mint mark dime graded MS65 sold for up to $2,185, and a 1968 S no-mint mark proof dime fetched $40,250 in 2008. A 1989 D dime with a comparable or more dramatic error in MS67 or higher could easily surpass these figures, especially if it's a unique or near-unique specimen. The historical context of 1989 also adds intrigue to the coin's potential value. By the late 1980s, the US Mint was producing coins at an unprecedented scale, and errors were less common due to improved technology and quality control. However, human error and mechanical mishaps could still occur, and a 1989 D dime with a significant error would stand out as a relic of a time when such mistakes were increasingly rare. The Denver Mint's high output in 1989 means that any error coin from that year would have had to slip through multiple layers of inspection. Next, imagine stumbling across a seemingly ordinary dime in your pocket change, a 1996 D Roosevelt dime, that could be worth a staggering $29 million because of rare errors and mistakes that transform it from a humble 10-cent piece into a numismatic treasure coveted by collectors worldwide. The 1996 D dime, minted at the Denver Mint with a production of over 1.4 billion coins, is typically worth its face value of 10 cents in circulated condition, but certain specimens with unique minting errors elevate their value to astronomical heights, making them some of the most sought-after coins in American history. The Roosevelt dime, designed by John R. Sinek and first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, features the president's profile on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. While billions of these dimes were struck in 1996, a select few possess errors that defy the norm, turning them into collector's gold. One of the most valuable errors associated with the 1996 D dime is the missing mint mark error, where the D that denotes the Denver Mint is entirely absent due to a mistake during the minting process. This error occurs when the mint mark is either not struck onto the die or is inadvertently polished off, resulting in a coin that appears to have been minted in Philadelphia, which typically emits mint marks on dimes. The absence of the D mint mark on a 1996 D dime is extraordinarily rare, as the Denver Mint produced over 1.4 billion dimes that year, and quality control measures typically catch such mistakes before coins enter circulation. A 1996 D dime with a missing mint mark can fetch thousands of dollars, with pristine examples in mint state, MS, grades like MS67 or higher potentially contributing to the $29 million valuation when combined with other errors. Another significant error is the double die obverse, DDO, where the design elements, such as the date, 1996, the word liberty, or Roosevelt's portrait, appear double due to a misalignment in the die creation process. This error creates a distinct, overlapping effect that is highly prized by collectors, especially when the doubling is prominent on key features like the lettering or Roosevelt's facial details. A 1996 D dime with a strong double die obverse, particularly in high-grade condition, can command prices ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars, and when paired with other rare errors, its value skyrockets. Off-center strikes are another error that can significantly increase the value of a 1996 D-dime, occurring when the coin blank, or planchette, is misaligned during striking, causing the design to be shifted off-center. The degree of misalignment directly impacts the value, with dimes showing 50% or more off-center strikes being particularly valuable, potentially worth $30 to $100 or more, depending on the visibility of the design and the coin's condition. A 1996 D-dime with a dramatic off-center strike, where only a portion of Roosevelt's face or the torch is visible, becomes a unique piece that collectors eagerly seek. Broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the collar die that forms the reeded edge, result in a wider, flatter coin that lacks the characteristic ridges, giving it a pancake-like appearance. This error, while less common, can add significant value, with broad-struck 1996 D-dimes selling for $50 to $500, depending on the extent of the error and the coin's preservation. Die cracks, which appear as raised lines or fractures on the coin's surface due to wear on the minting die, are another error that enhances value, particularly when the cracks are prominent or create unique patterns, such as a split through Roosevelt's portrait or across the torch. A 1996 D-dime with a notable die crack can fetch $10 to $100, with exceptional examples contributing to the coin's overall worth when combined with other errors. One of the rarest and most valuable errors is the transitional error, where a 1996 D-dime is mistakenly struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or composition, such as a silver planchette from an earlier era. For context, Roosevelt dimes transitioned from 90% silver to copper-nickel clad in 1965, but a 1996 D-dime struck on a leftover silver planchette from 1964 would be an extraordinary find, potentially worth thousands to tens of thousands of dollars due to its rarity and historical significance. Such transitional errors are exceedingly scarce, as the mint takes great care to segregate planchets, but when they occur, they captivate collectors and drive auction prices to dizzying heights. Another possibility is the repunched mint mark, RPM, error, where the D mint mark is struck multiple times, creating a doubled or overlapping appearance. While more common in earlier decades, a 1996 D-dime with a repunched mint mark would be a rare find, valued at $100 to $1,500, depending on the clarity of the error and the coin's grade. The combination of multiple errors on a single coin, such as a missing mint mark paired with a double die and an off-center strike, could exponentially increase its value, potentially pushing it into the millions, as collectors prize coins with multiple anomalies for their uniqueness. The condition of the coin is paramount, with uncirculated examples graded MS67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC commanding the highest premiums. For instance, a 1996 D-dime with full bands, FB, where the bands on the torch are fully separated and sharply defined, is already scarce, with an MS68 FB example selling for $750 at auction, and the addition of errors like a missing mint mark or double die could elevate its value exponentially. The $29 million valuation likely stems from a hypothetical scenario where a 1996 D-dime exhibits a combination of ultra-rare errors, such as a missing mint mark, a strong double die, and a transitional silver planchette, all in pristine MS69 or MS70 condition, a grade that is virtually unheard of for modern dimes due to their high volume of production and circulation wear. The rarity of such a coin is compounded by the fact that the Denver Mint's quality control in 1996 was stringent, making significant errors exceptionally uncommon. Collectors also value the historical context of the 1996 D-dime, as 1996 marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime series, prompting the West Point Mint to strike a special 1996 W dime for mint sets, which adds intrigue to the series, though the 1996 D eras are distinct. The allure of finding such a coin in circulation, perhaps released inadvertently from a mint set or overlooked in pocket change, fuels the excitement of collectors and contributes to its legendary status. Other potential errors include clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to improper cutting of the planchet, adding $10 to $50 to the value, or lamination errors, where the copper-nickel cladding peels or flakes, revealing the copper core, valued at $5 to $20 depending on severity. A 1996 D-dime struck on a wrong planchet, such as one intended for a penny, resulting in a copper-colored dime weighing 3.11 grams instead of 2.27 grams, would be a sensational find, potentially worth thousands due to its striking visual difference. The cumulative effect of these errors, especially when multiple errors coexist on a single coin, creates a numismatic masterpiece that could justify a $29 million price tag in a high-profile auction, where wealthy collectors compete for the rarest specimens. The market for era coins is driven by rarity, demand, and condition, with auction records showing that unique dimes, like the 1975 Noes-proof dime, valued at nearly $500,000, set precedents for extraordinary prices. The 1996 D-dime's potential for such a valuation hinges on its scarcity and the fascination with minting mistakes, which turn an everyday object into a piece of history. Collectors are advised to examine their 1996 D-dimes with a magnifying glass, checking for missing mint marks, doubling in the lettering or date, off-center designs, or unusual metal composition, and to seek professional grading for suspected errors to confirm authenticity and maximize value. The possibility of discovering a $29 million dime in circulation, while remote, underscores the thrill of coin collecting, where a single error-laden coin can transform a modest collection into a fortune, making the 1996 D-dime a hidden gem waiting to be uncovered. Next, picture yourself sifting through a jar of loose change, pulling out a 2002 D Roosevelt dime, a coin that seems unremarkable at first glance but could be worth an astonishing $16 million due to a series of rare minting errors and mistakes that transform it into a numismatic masterpiece coveted by collectors worldwide. The 2002 D-dime, struck at the Denver Mint with a mintage of over $1.3 billion, is typically valued at its face value of 10 cents in circulated condition, but specific examples with extraordinary errors elevate its worth to astronomical levels, making it one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. The Roosevelt dime, designed by John R. Sinek in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, features the president's left-facing profile on the obverse, accompanied by the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the minting year, while the reverse showcases a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, with United States of America and one dime encircling the design. While the sheer volume of 2002 D-dimes produced suggests they are common, certain specimens possess errors so rare and unique that they command prices in the millions, particularly when multiple errors converge on a single coin in pristine condition. One of the most significant errors is the missing mint mark, where the D that identifies the Denver Mint is absent, either due to a failure to strike the mint mark onto the die or because it was accidentally polished off during the minting process, resulting in a coin that appears to have been struck in Philadelphia, which typically omits mint marks on dimes. This error is exceptionally rare for 2002 D-dimes, as the Denver Mint's quality control was rigorous, and only a handful of such coins are believed to have escaped into circulation, with values for missing mint mark dimes ranging from $500 to $5,000 in lower grades, but potentially contributing millions to the coin's worth when combined with other errors and graded MS-68 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC. Another highly prized error is the double die obverse, DDO, where elements like the date, 2002, the word Liberty, or Roosevelt's portrait appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process, creating a visually striking overlap that collectors treasure, especially when the doubling is pronounced on critical features like the president's face or the inscriptions, with strong DDO examples in MS67 condition fetching $200 to $2,000, and exceptional cases with multiple errors, pushing values much higher. Off-center strikes, where the coin blank, or planchette, is misaligned during striking, result in a design that is shifted significantly, sometimes leaving only part of Roosevelt's face or the torch visible, with the value increasing based on the degree of misalignment. Coins with 50% or more off-center strikes can be worth $50 to $500, and a 2002 D-dime with a dramatic 70% off-center strike in near-mint condition could add thousands to its value. Broad strike errors occur when a coin is struck without the collar die, which forms the reeded edge, producing a wider, flatter coin with a smooth edge, resembling a thin pancake, and these coins, valued at $100 to $1,000 depending on condition, are highly sought after for their unusual appearance. Die cracks, appearing as raised lines or fractures on the coin's surface due to wear or damage to the minting die, add value when prominent, such as a crack running through Roosevelt's portrait or across the torch, with prices ranging from $10 to $200, and particularly striking examples contributing to a coin's overall worth when paired with other errors. A rare and valuable error is the transitional error, where a 2002 D-dime is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or composition, such as a silver planchette from the pre-1965 era when Roosevelt dimes were 90% silver, a mistake that could occur if a leftover silver planchette was accidentally fed into the minting press, resulting in a coin weighing approximately 2.5 grams instead of the standard 2.27 grams for copper-nickel-clad dimes, with such errors potentially worth $5,000 to $50,000 due to their scarcity and historical significance. Another possibility is the repunched mint mark, RPM, where the D mint mark is struck multiple times, creating a doubled or overlapping effect, a less common error in 2002 due to improved minting technology, but still valued at $100 to $1,500 for clear examples in high grades. The folded overstrike error, where the planchette folds over itself during striking, creates a dramatic effect, such as Roosevelt's face appearing partially folded or the torch blending into the branches, with a documented 2002 D-dime graded MS67 with this error selling for $1,290 at a 2018 Heritage Auction sale, highlighting its rarity and appeal. Phantom design errors, where a faint image of the obverse design appears on the reverse, like a ghostly outline of Roosevelt's profile behind the torch, occur when the die strikes the planchette with excessive force, transferring part of the opposing design, and a 2002 P-dime with this error graded MS69 sold for $1,440 in 2015 on eBay, demonstrating the premium collector's place on such visually intriguing anomalies. Die gouge errors, deep linear scratches on the coin's surface caused by damaged dies or debris, add value when prominent, such as a gouge giving Roosevelt a scarred appearance, with a 2002 D-dime graded MS68 with this error fetching $1,080 at a 2013 Stack's Bowers auction. Rotated die errors, where the obverse and reverse designs are misaligned, often at a 45-degree or greater angle, create a striking visual effect, with a 2001 D-dime graded MS65 with this error selling for $980 in 2012, suggesting similar value for a 2002 D example. Partial collar errors, where the coin is only partially held by the collar die, result in a railroad rim effect, with a 2001 P-dime graded MS69 with this error selling for $1,450 in 2021, indicating potential value for a 2002 D counterpart. Feeder finger errors, caused by misaligned automated feeder arms scratching the die and leaving raised linear marks on the coin, are unique and valued at $500 to $1,100, as seen with the 2001 dime graded MS67 fetching $1,100 in 2018. Split planchette errors, where internal weaknesses in the planchette cause it to split before or after striking, expose the copper core and create a dramatic, incomplete appearance, with a 2001 dime graded MS66 with this error selling for $940 in 2008, suggesting comparable value for a 2002 example. Clipped planchette errors, where a portion of the planchette is missing due to improper cutting, at $10 to $100 to the value, depending on the size of the clip, with a 2002 dime confirmed as a genuine clipped planchette noted on forums like Collector's Universe, though typically not worth grading due to high fees. Lamination errors, where the copper-nickel cladding peels or flakes, revealing the copper core, are valued at $5 to $50, with severe examples fetching higher prices. A 2002 dime struck on a wrong planchette, such as one intended for a penny, resulting in a copper-colored coin weighing 3.11 grams, would be a sensational find, potentially worth thousands due to its distinct appearance and rarity. The $16 million valuation likely arises from a hypothetical scenario where a 2002 dime combines multiple ultra-rare errors, such as a missing mint mark, a strong double die, a transitional silver planchette, and an off-center strike, all in pristine MS69 or MS70 condition, a grade almost unheard of for modern dimes due to high production volumes and circulation wear. The condition is critical, with full bands, FB, designation, where the torched horizontal bands are fully separated and sharply defined, adding significant value, as seen with the 2001 dime graded MS68 FB selling for $1,200, suggesting even higher premiums for a 2002 with errors. The rarity of these errors is amplified by the Denver Mint's advanced quality control in 2002, making significant mistakes exceptionally scarce. The historical context of the Roosevelt dime, with its enduring design and transition from silver to copper-nickel in 1965, adds to the allure, as collectors seek coins that bridge modern minting with historical significance. The possibility of finding such a coin in circulation, perhaps overlooked in pocket change or a mint set, fuels collector excitement, with stories of rare dimes like the 1894 Barber dime, which sold for $2.16 million in 2025, setting a precedent for extraordinary prices. The market for era coins is driven by rarity, condition, and collector demand, with auctions like Heritage and Stack's Bowers showcasing the potential for multimillion-dollar sales when unique specimens surface. Collectors should examine 2002 dimes with a magnifying glass, checking for missing mint marks, doubling, off-center designs, or unusual metal composition, and seek professional grading to confirm authenticity and maximize value. The thrill of discovering a $16 million dime, while unlikely, underscores the excitement of numismatics, where a single error-laden coin can turn a handful of change into a life-changing fortune, making the 2002 dime a hidden treasure waiting to be found by a vigilant collector.